Live, it says. Okay, so a lot of people in this town know Andrew Wolnez, and at least a dozen people altogether came and let me know about Andrew Wolnez threatening them, trying to get them to start fights with me, trying to get them to get physically violent with me, trying to convince them that I was a pedophile and a rapist and a murderer. So there are several people that have been involved in the situation, and they may not have necessarily done the nicest things to me. And I may not have said the nicest things about them afterwards. But the fact is, there are a great many people who are recorded who've spoken up about the abuse to me, but haven't turned it in with me. Today, I recorded 3 of Andrew Wolnez's victims, and I have video evidence of him yelling at those people for being with me, near me, or around me. Now, according to my protection order, Andrew Wolnez is not supposed to try to contact me through any third-party means. None. Of course, that doesn't make any difference to Andrew Wolnez. Now, one of the people that Andrew Wolnez was threatening over me, who those recordings are actually recorded on my YouTube channel. I spoke to him today. He has telephone issues because he's broke. He's in a wheelchair as well. And Andrew Wolnez keeps threatening him. Now, the man does make threats, and I recorded that. I mean, is this the right phone? No. This is the one with the evidence threats against my sister's life and my niece's life. Now, a lot of people, as soon as they see that stuff, they're like, dude, that's fucking Andrew Wolnez. That's Andrew Wolnez. That's Andrew Wolnez. Well, okay, you can go ahead and blame it on Andrew Wolnez all you want, but I need proof. The thing is, I'm being treated like these things that are absolutely true, these threats against my life, are delusions. People who have seen these things and verified that they are true still pretend in the courts or to the courts that these things are delusions to protect their coworkers and their friends. So I've got recording after recording of these folks not sharing the right information. Like when I have to try to turn them in to themselves because they're doing everything in their power to send me the wrong information, the wrong phone numbers. Several of the phone numbers that I was court ordered to turn this evidence into were fax numbers. And then the one that I was supposed to send evidence to Kylie, the TFCC investigator, again, court ordered. And what happened with that? Kind of like in Nebraska, Jen Beebe was court ordered to actually do her job. The courts actually had to order it. And then she ignored me for 6 months. I had to call her boss and try to find out what was going on. Her boss played stupid. You can't have that. So, with all of these victims of Andrew Wolnez, three separate victims in the last, well, it's 10:58 a.m. So, in the last 8 hours, in 8 hours' time, I've been able to record three separate victims of Andrew Wolnez's. One of them in a wheelchair, one of them schizophrenic. He chooses victims that can't protect themselves and can't defend themselves and are alone. Most of the time, when I see Sean, he is alone. Most of the time, when I see Mike, he is alone. Most of the time, but not always. Now, Mike is a special case. See, he's been threatened and harassed by Wolnez recently as well. He's also one of my key witnesses in the case against Mossam Bijan and the police department. He was also, again, recorded verifying that he did, in fact, and indeed get to see that information. He did get to see those videos. He did try to turn them in. Something I wanted to tell you all about the firearms. Oh, yeah, I did tell you about the firearms. Not only that, I played the recording of Mossam Bijan threatening me. And then you can literally hear him cocking his pistol. Yeah, that's pretty fucking scary. So I got recording with Mike talking about those illegal firearms. How there's more than one. He's of the opinion that Mossam must be a God, I'm trying to remember the word. Anyway, there's a lot of people that were already aware that Mossam has a history of violence and theft and abuse and taking advantage of very specifically vulnerable adults. And those are the actual charges. And these also include stealing their cars, burglary, armed robbery. His MO is to victimize vulnerable people, the same thing that Andrew Wolnez is doing. And it doesn't help that we've got these people that have been harassing me for years, the Bollingers and their followers, the Bollingers and their extended friends and family, the people they wanted to coordinate with all the way back in these YouTube groups to try to destroy my Facebook, destroy my evidence, try to deter people from listening to me, try to cherry pick little bits and pieces out of what I showed, and then pretend that they had to find it in the Natalie Bollinger group. No, you didn't. That Natalie Bollinger group stole it off of my fucking Facebook. I didn't post it up so people could cherry pick. I posted up so people could read the truth in its entirety. Now, today I got to record three separate victims of Andrew Wolnez's. I also recorded three separate people offering up a piece of violence and threatening violence against Andrew Wolnez. Four. I think it might have been four. And in all those cases, just like every time people want to threaten violence against him, I tell them I'm not okay with it. Now, here's one of the things about that also, though. See, with David and Jennifer, they wanted to beat the shit out of Andrew Wolnez because Wolnez wouldn't leave me alone. These other people that Andrew Wolnez is fucking with, He has already threatened them and harassed them repeatedly for helping me. Those are very clear violations of the protection order, and the fact that he continues to harass and threaten these people is not okay. Those are still very clear violations of the protection order. Now, when I went in there with evidence, when I got the protection order against Andrew Wolnez, because he didn't show up, I didn't get to show my evidence. I didn't get to show the written stuff from Mona or from Caitlin Thompson. I still don't get to show any of that stuff. I got stuff written by Ernie Chacon about the situation with Wolnez. I got written report upon written report, but I try to explain that if they don't turn it in with me, the cops aren't going to hear me. They're not going to listen. They're going to pretend that it's a delusion. They're going to pretend that it's some elaborate scheme where I went out of my way to just find out somebody's name at random and write that name down and then make a whole different fucking set of papers to write it on and a whole separate set of ink to write it on and practice a whole different handwriting style to write it down, and that these people don't actually exist. They're just figments of my imagination. And holy shit, no, I don't have the fucking time for that. I really don't. I didn't have to manufacture a friendship with Natalie Bollinger. We were friends. But the police have what's called rubber stamps. These are people that they know will just believe whatever they say just because they said it. And when you have to try to turn in a police officer and he arrests you for trying to turn him in, like for example in Chapel, Nebraska, I was told by the Nebraska state troopers, after being told by Dual County Sheriff Scott DaCosta and his deputies that I couldn't turn them into themselves because they can't investigate themselves. And then I called the state troopers and they tell me that I have to turn in the abuse by the Dual County Sheriff's Department to the Dual County Sheriff's Department so that Scott DaCosta, who I'm calling the Nebraska State Patrol to turn in, can investigate his deputies, who I am also trying to turn in. And this results in those deputies arresting me, even though I stated very clearly on my YouTube channel what my intentions were before I ever went in. When they organized it for Jen Beebe from Region 1, who was Tamara's replacement. She replaced Tamara for me, I believe, over a year and a half, maybe 2.5 years, something like that, after Tamara quit. It seriously took Region 1 that long. And then Jen Beebe, she was a horrible person. Just not a good person. She was a vindictive and lazy person. So, on some of those occasions, like for example, when Nebraska state troopers said that I had to turn in Scott DaCosta to Scott DaCosta, they finally said that they were going to send out a state trooper to finally take it seriously, and instead Scott DaCosta showed up, beating on the door, being very insistent. I had nobody there to protect me from Scott DaCosta. What I had to turn in was the fact that Scott DaCosta was running around priming something by telling people in Chapel, Nebraska I was schizophrenic, even though he knew that I wasn't. He was aware that I wasn't. Now there's this evidence. There's these recordings. I'm gonna see which phone I recorded it on. And of course, there's today's date, 3/19/2026. So on my phones on 3/19/2026, I have multiple recordings with witnesses to abuse against me, multiple recordings to other victims, multiple recordings of people threatening to harm Andrew Wolnez. Now, here's the thing about that. I still say the same thing as when people threaten to hurt Andrew Wolnez because he's still stalking me. And they've gotten to see him do it. And I have to step in between them. Their connection is we reconnect. There we go. Then there's the 11 predatory accounts that I blocked last night. People who wanted to get onto my channel and just bully, wanted to make a bunch of, well, they're outright lies. They want to state them as if they must be the truth. And this is some justification why it's okay to assault me, why it's okay to threaten my friends and family's lives. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through some of these phones and we're going to show some of that stuff. Little clips of the different abusive situations. Another unstable connection. All right. Time for back in an unstable connection signal, and then it goes away. I don't know. I know I've gone back in some of my other videos on my other channel and realized that 3/4 of what I said you can't offline. The connect. Oh, another unstable connection. It just sucked. That's one of the reasons, pros and cons to making them. Now, I'm having to deal with people who didn't want to take a look at the situation. They wanted someone to pass judgment on. I think part of the reason for this is because it's still backing up photos. I had to spend some money as soon as I got it. So instead of it destroying my Gmail stuff, I now have 2 terabytes of memory. Woohoo! I also have enough money in my account to make sure that that is paid for a very long time. So today there's 2 videos. One of them is 26 minutes and 19 seconds on this phone here. That might be a telephone or a telephone call. I'm not certain. There's also some from yesterday, and this is the phone that I've been using. It's my daily phone. It's for, well, I always try, and this is something that I was explaining to people. I can't just have one phone at a time. All right. Police have a bad habit of taking advantage of disabled people and homeless people, especially if they're men. So attorneys not only told me that, but they also told me that when I speak to the police, I need to record it. And then they explained why. And they didn't need to explain it. I already knew all this stuff, but you know, when you hear a lawyer say it, it's different. You treat me like I'm delusional for telling the truth, or you say you're not a lawyer. Well, you're not a lawyer either. How about instead of telling me all of this legal stuff that you are absolutely clueless about, How about we follow the legal guidelines that the lawyers gave me as advice? This is how you protect yourself when you're disabled. You go to a friend or family member. Is there anything else I can do? Well, you can have a journal and write it all down. Well, then what do I do with the journal? Well, you go to a friend or a family member. And I say, is there anything I can do other than go to a friend or family member? No, Sean. You have to go to a friend or family member. If the police have already decided that you're mentally ill over this, and they're insinuating that you're delusional by sending you to mental health for help, they're breaking the law. But number one, you got to record that. I didn't know how to do that. None of my friends would show me how to do that because none of my friends wanted to listen. They were too busy giving advice and telling me that the lawyers were wrong. Fucking Christ. When the lawyers say, hey, man, you know what? If you have a friend look at your evidence and you call me and verify it, I'm not going to spend fucking 3 days on the phone with you talking about it. You go to a friend or family member. If you can get a friend or family member to do this, because the guy was trying to be real nice to me. He understood there was a real issue. He understood I was going to the people that I was supposed to. He even wished me luck and told me he hopes it works out. But that was well before Natalie was killed. When I called that guy back, he was not so nice. It wasn't that he was trying to be mean. It's that you get one free consultation. And I want to say that I probably was on the phone with him for 3 hours for a 1 hour consultation. So it's not like he didn't go out of his way to spend all of that time to do that. But what he told me, and he's not the only attorney I called who told me this. Most of them said it quicker, actually, which kind of beefed me with him, was that, you know, it took 3 hours for him to finally give in. But he's the one who told me that he would do it for free. That if I could get a friend or family member to look at the evidence and turn it in with me, because he can't just take the word of a mentally ill person. The moment he hears the word mentally ill, there's a bunch of rules that prevent him from doing jack shit. So he can't touch it without talking to a friend or family member. Now, if I'd have had certain diagnoses, and he told me this, he told me what those diagnoses are. He said, if you have any of these diagnoses, I can't even talk to you without a friend or family member. I'm not legally even allowed to talk to you if you have any of these diagnoses. And I didn't have any of those diagnoses. Some of those diagnoses that he knew about, well, they're very specific. A lot of them I've never heard of. A couple of them I remembered and was able to look up, but they got some pretty weird names. No, I haven't been diagnosed with any of that. I've been diagnosed with Tourette syndrome. I was diagnosed with that when I was 7 years old. 7. Now, of course, when the what do they call those? The forensic pathologists or investigators or whatever, the guys who do your psych eval, and ladies as well, that do your psych eval. Oh. That was really painful. I'm sorry about losing where I was at and what I was talking about. If somebody wants to type in the chat what it is that I was talking about, that was really painful. When I'm scared, I blink my eyes weird like this, or I do this with my wrists, and I get made fun of for it, like horribly. I get made fun of it so much and have been treated like I'm a horrible person for speaking about abuse since I was a kid, that I developed a stuttering problem. I'm afraid to speak. The more afraid I am to speak, the more I'm going to say and do this and do this. And Yeah, I know how that looks to you. This is why instead of assuming that you know better than a fucking doctor, you need to actually take the actual evidence from those actual doctors and actually take a look at it. Is it okay for you to physically assault somebody who has Tourette syndrome because you assume they're on drugs? Well, we've gotten to see very clearly that stimming, which is not much different than a tick for Tourette syndrome, a nervous tick. You're scared, so you're doing this. You got to do something with your hands. So you might stim, you might play with something, you might have something in your hands at the time. But the police are going to pretend that that's a weapon and they might fucking shoot you. The police will see that it's a phone. They know that it's a phone. They recognize it's a phone. But you're using it to stim and they don't like it. Because you're holding your phone and looking at it and talking to it. They want you to put your phone down and look them in the eye. If you don't look them in the eye, you must be a liar. This is fucking horrible. No, if I'm busy focused on looking you in the eye, I'm not able to comprehend what you're telling me because I am too busy being focused on looking you in the eye. Now, there's a few occasions where I don't have that issue. If you're a kind-hearted person who treats me like a person, I'll meet your eyes naturally in that occasion. Also, if you are threatening my life or the lives of those around me, I'll meet your eyes as well. It's a direct challenge, I'm well aware. You are directly challenging me and my friends. You are challenging our safety. You got two choices when people are harming your friends and family. You either look your target in the eye or you look the other way. If people are assaulting your brother or your sister, is it right for you to look the other way? Many of the witnesses in Natalie's situation, the ones who wanted to threaten harm against me, like Bobby Forrest, later on dropped their hostility and got a hold of me and wanted to know what was actually going on. And I sent him a lot of evidence. These people who say that they'll help me. And I spend hundreds of hours coordinating with them and sending them evidence. And just one phone alone, there's at least 20 separate situations that happened that after Claire Jordan told me, hey, if something happens, call me and let me know, and we'll turn it in together. Okay. And every single one of those times, in just that one phone, you get to see she never follows the simplest instructions. Make these calls with me. Instead of making a bunch of excuses why you're not even going to try, well, how about let's meet these obstacles as they come. Let's meet them one at a time. If you don't want to hear me about what these obstacles have been and are going to be, you're going to be very unpleasantly surprised. The reason for this is because your assumptions that you keep projecting onto me who has the experience in calling these places, once you listen to those conversations, you realize that, yeah, you need to make the call with me. Going back all the way to when I was a child, all the way to when I was friggin' tiny, there has always been a consistent situation where if you are abused, it is a popularity contest. If harming you will get some dude more liked by the girl that he's interested in, if assaulting you and bullying you and harassing you will make him look better in her eyes, or he assumes that it will, you're the nerdy guy. You're ugly. People tell you stuff like, you're probably going to be a fucking serial rapist. I was surprised it turned out to be a serial killer. Going to Chapel, fucking Nebraska sucked. I'm listening to a bunch of racist red and how horrible black people are. No, they're fucking not. Black people are not horrible. There are some people that are just shitty people. For example, people who have their daughters selling drugs to homeless people, hard drugs to homeless people when they're 13 years old. That's a bad dad. His name's Ted Bollinger, by the way. Now we know the day. We've only got a few recordings on these phones. It's not this one. It is not that one. It is this one. So the video on here that I just recorded. No, that's the wrong button. It looks like there are, the hell, other storage maybe? Okay, 2 videos from today. Now this right here, the screenshots here, those are of the 11 stalkers. These have a history of it. Half of them are new profiles that they created with different versions of their names. Some of them are old profiles that are returning to harass me. Some of them, there's evidence of direct connection and communication between them and Andrew Wolnez. Those 2 videos at the top, though, those are me walking through town today, looking for the people that I was supposed to run into yesterday. I ran into Valerie earlier today. I believe that's the one on this phone. That was around, I don't know, 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe later. And she told me about Andrew Wolnez continuing to fuck with her. Like, she was with me in several of those videos when Andrew Wolnez was going by and harassing us. Now, these people had all told me previously, these people had warned me that Andrew Wolnez was out to get me. Valerie had already warned me that Wolnez was out to get me. Sean was confused. He knew about the situation with me and Wolnez, sort of to some degree. So when Wolnez was yelling at me, he already had a history with Wolnez. They used to be friends. Now, the fake account that was made that's supposedly Andrew Wolnez's mother, it turns out it's a fake account. He claims, the other Sean claims that that's not Andrew Wolnez's mother's name. So it's obviously not her. It's somebody pretending to be her. But that he thinks that the name that he picked was basically it's proof that it's Wolnez. I don't get how. Because I wasn't friends with Andrew Wolnez growing up. I didn't date the same girls as Andrew Wolnez like this guy did. I didn't go to school with Wolnez. I didn't go hanging out with him at fucking parties. None of that with Wolnez. I don't have that kind of history with Wolnez. My entire history with Wolnez is him accusing me of shit I didn't do and assaulting me. playing victim after assaulting me, playing victim when I call him the same shit back. Meanwhile, before I go calling him that same shit back, there's some pretty important guidelines. Now, I didn't want to call him a pedophile back. Obviously, I've never been charged with any form of crime, sexual or otherwise, against a child or adult. I've never been charged with any form of sexual abuse against anyone. I've never been charged with any form of child abuse, but look at the Bollingers. They've all been charged with fucking child abuse. These people have a history of abusing their own children. They had a history on paper, in court, a criminal history of child abuse before I ever knew Natalie and Alicia existed. The best thing that I could do to try to keep Natalie and Alicia Bollinger safe when they were underage children selling hard drugs to homeless drug addicts, the best thing that I could do to keep them safe was to run them off. Did I find out Natalie and Alicia Bollinger's name? No, I didn't care what their name was. I also didn't know that they were selling drugs. I just knew that they were hanging out with homeless people who are fucking heroin addicts. You can't tell that to the police now, can you? What happens if you tell the police? They talk you in circles and tell you, oh, the victim has to come forward themselves. Yeah, I'm telling you, there's a really fucked up situation here. The police told me that I couldn't run those girls off and couldn't run Maddie Boa off. They told me that those girls had as much of a right. Well, they told me Maddie Boa had as much of a right to be there as I do. Because I was complaining about all them youngins coming down there. They get beaten up at home for being lesbian, for being gay. Or they get raped and molested at home. And then they come out to the streets because they don't want to be at home taking that abuse. And they're selfish. Yes, they're being abused at home. So they're trying to come hang out with people like me who make them feel safe. I don't understand how telling you that you need to leave, that this is an unsafe situation, that you are hanging out in a very unsafe crowd, and that you're making a bad impression to the public of what the homeless actually are. You children hanging out with these drug addicts. We got a bunch of people that walk by and they see this and they associate these old ass fucking nasty homeless people. Maybe they're not super old. Maybe they're in their early to mid 20s. But the fact is, they're a lot older than Natalie and Alicia Bollinger. And these are Natalie and Alicia's customers. Now, I have no doubt, given the sheer quantity of people, 3 people just today weren't just talking about how it would be a good idea to go after Andrew Wolnez with a baseball bat. They were actually stating that they were going to do these things. And I said, hey, I will turn it in with you. I've been asking for your help turning this abuse in. I will help you to turn it in. These are violations of the protection order. I shouldn't have to get on YouTube and make videos because I have recordings. These recordings are important. They show that I'm trying to make the effort. They also show that these people, instead of taking any steps whatsoever towards actually turning it in, want to immediately turn to violence. And I am constantly trying to talk Andrew Wolnez's victims into not beating him to fucking death. So these recordings need to go to who? Obviously, these people are stressed out. They're saying these things because Andrew Wolnez is literally saying things to them of that sort, claiming that he's going to harm them. Claiming that he's going to hurt them. Claiming that he's going to kill them. And what he's saying to each one, well, you need to ask these people individually. What in specific has Andrew Wolnez done? Ask Sean, what in specific has Andrew Wolnez done? Ask Mike, in specific, what has Andrew Wolnez done? Because when Mike came to me and told me that Wolnez is threatening him, yes, I'm hearing you. I am listening. If you'd like to tell the story to me and have it recorded in case something happens, and as a preventative measure, and so that when we go to turn it in, we actually have something that we can give to somebody in case they decide to falsely arrest you for some bullshit and falsely arrest me for some bullshit. These people have given up on going to the police because the police talk them in circles and send them to care. All of these people have major issues with care. Some of them spoke about how they were getting help, how it was very slow going, but they were getting help. And then right when they were about to get their prize for going through all of this bullshit to get the help they need, that prize is the help that they needed. They've been promised this help and filled out paperwork for this help and gone in week after week after week for this help, not receiving this help, but being told they have to be patient. And then at the last minute, they just got one phone call left to make or one place to call with their caseworker or peer support worker there at CARE. And then they give them Shelly. And then once they're given Shelly, nothing happens. Shelly is their go-to to fucking sit on it. She'll fucking smile in your face and lie right the fuck at you. She's able to appease you just enough that you're going to wait until your next appointment. So that stuff's got to go to the police. Blah, 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 blah. All three of those people are willing to turn this stuff in with me. The thing is, it's a matter of trying to remind them, a matter of being able to connect with them and communicate with them. And with, well, for one of them, he doesn't want a telephone because he'll have issues with it right now. Later on, he might be able to use one. So we are still going to have this communication issue. The other one, his last phone died because the cable that plugs in. I know from having to drive all the way to Warrenton to get my previous telephones fixed with the screens after Andrew Wolnez and his friends broke them, and also after I accidentally broke it. I know that it takes more money to get the telephone repaired so that I can still utilize the evidence on it than it'll cost me to get a brand new phone. Somebody just typed something nice. I can't read all of what it is, and I'll go ahead and read it after the live stream here, I suppose. So people are making fake accounts, Andrew Wolnez's mom's name, or somebody that's posing as Andrew Wolnez's mom. This is not okay. This is against the law too. Okay, this is identity theft. Now, they may have gotten her first name wrong. I don't know what her first name is, and I'm not going to ask what her first name is. When Sean asked me, he said, "Well, who is it that this person is?" And I said, "Sandra Wolnez." He said, "That's not his mom's name. That's fucking Andrew making stuff up and fucking with you. That's Wolnez doing that." Now he doesn't have any proof that it's Wolnez, but he was friends with Wolnez for a lot of years. He also said they did a lot of drugs together. He didn't say that today. He also knows that I record everything. Valerie knows that I record everything. Mike knows that I record everything. And when I see them, I don't always remind them that I'm recording. But when I remember, I do. But it doesn't make any difference to them because whether I'm recording or not, they're going to say the same shit. Now, one of the other issues at this point is that I need to turn in crimes that were committed against Andrew Wolnez's family at this point. Sean is not going to help. All right, he's in a wheelchair, getting into the courthouse would be a bitch, and he don't like them, they don't like him. Except apparently he's got sort of a friendship with Lynn Lothman. So having the recordings is important. Also having this video as a marker, basically to let me know what videos were made today and what phones they were in, and then I can scroll through to this day later on. Right now I got a lot of anxiety about the paperwork I'm still waiting on, and a lot of anxiety about, I'm pretty sure that the feller that's offering to help me, now there's a possibility he's a real fucking trooper. There is that possibility. But I get the feeling that he did exactly what I was trying to avoid, which is volunteering to do a whole bunch of stuff and getting overwhelmed trying to do all the stuff that he volunteered to do. I don't need you to volunteer. Navy, never again volunteer yourself. If you're going to volunteer to help me how I need, that means how I need, not how you want to provide. Because if you're going to promise to help me how I need, and then you don't help me with doing those things, or with understanding that there's a process that needs to be followed for my safety, a lot of the protocols that I utilize, the reason that I utilize those protocols isn't just because it's what attorneys told me to do. It isn't just because it's on the paperwork of how you're supposed to turn it in, according to the Social Services website, or the Adult Protective Services website, or the stuff that Tamara printed out for me all the way back in 2017. Or the stuff that was printed out for me at the hospital here in Tillamook in November of 2022. Getting my friends to look at those instructions. I can literally send it to them. I can show you that I sent those instructions to Claire because she was claiming she didn't understand. So I sent it to her. And then she claimed that she read it. And then she still didn't understand. When it comes to mandatory reporter training, she claimed that at one of her previous jobs, this is after never mentioning this before, she wanted to tell me that she was a mandatory reporter at one of her previous jobs in Colorado, but she doesn't know any of the mandatory reporter laws, with the exception of the stuff that I told her. She says that she has to look this stuff up all the time, but if she looked this stuff up all the time, she'd know these things. What she's telling me is the things that police officers tell people that they are blowing off because they assume you're schizophrenic, or because you're broke, so they just simply don't give a shit. See, that's the difference between when my friends, or so-called friends, claim that they went in. Yes, they got the same reaction I did, except I recorded it and they didn't. They also didn't follow instructions by turning it in with me for our safety. Otherwise, police can pretend that it didn't happen, or manipulate the situation or try to twist your words or destroy your body camera. I mean, your body camera, because these telephones are your body cameras. When somebody is threatening you or their behaviors are threatening, this keeps you safe. Now, imagine if somebody who had threatened to kill you and assaulted you repeatedly was mean mugging you from across the street. Now, he's talking just loud enough that you can hear him talking. And several of these videos with Andrew Wolnez, where the reason that I was pointing the camera his direction while I'm making a recording where I'm talking to my phone, the reason that I turned to point it in his direction is very specifically because he was mean mugging me. I could hear his voice. I couldn't hear what he was saying. But then I got this really, really cool used speaker. Where the hell did I put it? So my phone doesn't pick up background noise nearly as well as my audio recording device. So I got this speaker that one of these wireless speakers. And when you put this to it, you can actually hear what's in the background. Like there's one video that I have on my channel that one of the people that I was talking to said, well, I caught your channel and I listened to you talking about the situation, and then you just stopped in the middle of it and went after a baby, and I couldn't hear the baby. Like, everything that you say makes sense, and the conversations you showed me with people do exist, but you were reacting to a crying baby that doesn't exist. And I came in here and I was like, yeah, I can't hear it either. And so I stuck the thing up to my ear on maximum volume and I listened to it, and I could just barely hear that baby crying. So I'm like, all right, this is probably going to piss off the neighbors, but I'm going to pull out this thing. Holy crap, this thing is fucking loud. Like when I turned this thing on, it sounded like the baby was closer than it was, live. Now, there's a lot of really cool auto filter features and stuff where YouTube will filter out some of the background noise. Well, that doesn't always work, and it depends on the background noise. Sometimes there's something that's, super loud that happens almost right next to my tent, and YouTube does record it. And, sometimes there's something 50 feet away that seems almost as loud to me. Well, more than 50 feet, probably 100 feet or so away, that sounds almost just as loud to me. But in order to hear it on YouTube, you have to get one of these speakers and turn it all the way up. I mean, the speakers on my computer aren't real thick. It's a pretty thin computer, so it's got small speakers, small magnets, not the highest quality and not the highest power, because that might actually fuck with the computer. Now, this thing right here, like I said, again, it's super loud. Why the hell doesn't that just leave like it used to? Now I have to click on it to close. Like I said, somebody sent me a comment, and I'll read it after this video. So I tried explaining to my friends over and over again while they're playing stupid about how to turn it in. I tell them, hey, I have to go to a friend or family member to turn this in with me right away. And they promise to help me to turn it in, and then they procrastinate and literally never get to it. They have 10,000 excuses why it won't work, and most of those excuses are excuses that police officers who didn't want to do their jobs tell people that don't have any fucking money. So they're not lawyers. They're idiots who believe what their fucking predators tell them. The cops are too fucking lazy to do their goddamn job, and they don't see homeless people or broke people as fucking people. So they fucking lie to us, knowing that nobody fucking gives a shit because we're goddamn broke people in America. Why are these people up in arms and offering up physical violence and potentially death for Andrew Wolnez because what he's doing to them? See, when I say don't assault Andrew Wolnez for threatening to kill me. Don't assault Andrew Wolnez for stalking me. Don't assault Andrew Wolnez for breaking the protection order again and again and again. Help me to turn it in. But at the same time, Andrew Wolnez is threatening to kill these people and their friends and family. Yeah, they have every goddamn right to beat the son of a bitch to death. He won't stop. They have every right to protect themselves from serious threats. And this is serious. Now, I've also shown Sean and several others the threats against my sister's life. Now, this group of folks who Andrew Wolnez became friends with because he harasses me, and they've commented on his YouTube channel many, many times, and people get a hold of me to fucking stir up the mud. Hey, man, fucking that guy that you keep blocking from your channel, well, he's fucking on Wolnez's channel, fucking stirring up the mud. Yeah, I can see that they're stirring up the mud still. They make these fucking harassment videos, and then they type Andrew Wolnez's name and my name in it. That's another third-party bullshit. These people already coordinated with Andrew Wolnez. They were caught coordinating with Andrew Wolnez. The very same people that were caught coordinating with these Bollingers and their fucking Bollinger groups. These people have been in communication with one another. Now, the phone that I had before I spent 15 months in jail, where, of course, the police, even knowing that these things weren't delusions, wanted to continue to pretend that they were delusions. Like, how can it be a delusion if I can show you evidence that it fucking happened? Now, a lot of times I show you the messages that I sent to Kylie, the TFCC investigator, on a landline. That's right. The number that I was court ordered, and John Holland was supposed to understand that TFCC was court ordered, and I was court ordered as well to send this evidence to TFCC's investigator, who was Kylie. The number that John Holland gave me was not Kylie's number to send that to. No, it was a landline. That's not fucking okay. That's their mistake, not mine. And then they want to pretend that it's okay because it might have been an accident. No, it wasn't an accident. The fact that John Holland and this lady who claims that she knew before I was arrested, she knew years ago that Natalie Bollinger was not a delusion. Well, she could coordinate with her co-workers who I'm trying to turn in to claim that I threatened to kill her because there was an anonymous call from an anonymous person about a video that she never saw. So literally there's no evidence. They're basing this all entirely 100% on somebody fucking lying to them, refusing to do their jobs because somebody fucking lied to them. That's their excuse. Somebody that they have no way to identify, who showed absolutely no evidence whatsoever, and she absolutely never even looked, by her own admission. Come on now, people. You want to say I didn't try? No, it's not that I didn't try. It's that when people said that they would turn it in with me so that I could turn it in safely, that they understood, that they fucking ghosted me. No call, no show. They don't want me to pass judgment on them. No, they sent me into the lion's den alone. I'm not talking literally, I'm talking figuratively for those of you who want to continue to try to twist anything I say into somehow a schizophrenic delusion. So let's go to Claire Jordan and we'll scroll all the way up to the very start. This is the very beginning. Oh my God, it's going to take a while because I got to keep on scrolling. Not sure if you can see it. I'm still scrolling. And this is dozens of situations altogether that I'm sending her evidence of. Okay. I'm told to go to my friend or family member. She said that she would be that friend or family member. And then she coordinated to literally not understand. I'm sending this to you right now because you said that if there's one of these issues to get a hold of you and you would help me to turn it in. And she literally never helped me to turn these situations in. We're supposed to turn it in right away, which she claims that she understands. But she obviously didn't because, God, I'm still scrolling. Like I have to thousands of messages between her and I, and you would think that in those thousands of messages and hundreds of pieces of information and hundreds of screenshots and dozens of videos that she would understand the simple English language that is her first language. This is a new phone because the other one got broken. I bought this phone while I was in Warrenton, getting a phone broken that I broke because I slept on top of it on accident. But it was already so broken that it was barely functional. And it was barely functional and broken to that point by the time I got to Warrenton, specifically because of Andrew Wolnez fucking punching it. Andrew Wolnez hitting it. Andrew Wolnez grabbing it and trying to wrestle it out of my hands and squeezing it as hard as he can. Repeatedly, Andrew Wolnez wanted to assault me and try to destroy my property after threatening to kill me and trying to entice others into harming me by lying to them, knowing that it's a lie. And he admitted that he knew it was a lie, but he continued to do it. Now, the first message here says, it's Sean Schwartz, had to buy a new phone. I'm trying to figure out how to work it. Yeah, it was right around the 4th of July in 2023. James Murphy came into town and he was stalking me, and them youngins were stalking me. Yeah, it wasn't fucking fun. So I left. I took this lady to Warrenton, well, to Astoria where she lived. The people who were running one of the fireworks stand gave me the ride, or gave me the money to give her the ride. And she gave me money to get back here. And I spent that money on getting a new phone because I broke mine the rest of the way. So there's a bunch of voice messages between us all. And I'm not going to play those all. And I'm not going to play all of her excuses and or reasons. Oh, I also recorded yesterday another one of Chris Stafford's victims, who told me that another one of Chris Stafford's victims is safely somewhere else and sober and doing well. And yes, I have that recorded as well. And I do my best not to post that stuff up on YouTube at that lady's request, but she's also aware that some of her stuff has ended up on YouTube. Sorry, now I'm scrolling through looking specifically for that stuff. All right, so when it comes to the attorneys, one of the issues that I was having with is the public pretender here in Tillamook wanted to type at me, oh, come on now. Sir, I'm waiting for my investigator to get reimbursed. The Oregon Public Defense Commission currently has a massive delay in processing reimbursements. Once it clears, we'll be able to make more preparations for trial. Do you have any questions in the meantime? And there was literally never an investigator involved. There was an investigator that he gave me the phone number to call, and I called that investigator, and that investigator let me know he doesn't work for free. When I had to try to turn in this situation because I was being bullied into calling this man who was literally at that point, the investigator was getting to the point where he was being threatening towards me and was going to call the fucking cops. So what was Benjamin Fishberg doing? Telling me to call this man who had already, at that point, basically was pretending that I was harassing and stalking him. The investigator that I was supposed to talk to for Matthew Lyon, sorry, not Matthew Lyon, this is Benjamin Fishberg. I mean, I'm having to curse at Benjamin Fishberg at this point. Like, dude, you're going to need to call him with me. All right, you're telling me you've got it cleared up and that all I got to do is call the guy. I'm calling the guy and he's telling me he doesn't work for free, and he's getting real pissed off at me for doing what you're telling me to do, Benjamin Fishberg. So yeah, this is a screenshot that I sent to Claire Jordan of that. There's also the screenshots of the damage done to my vehicle. Here, let's try to scroll that in so that you guys can see it. There's no back window there because they put a rock through it. It was as big as my fucking fist. The one they put through the side window is as big as my fucking head. Oh, by the way, there's my side window that they busted out with a rock as big as my head. And then you notice that the door isn't closing all the way. Yeah, I couldn't leave my vehicle without people fucking vandalizing it. Now let's compare the pictures of when I first got here to Tillamook with my busted ass vehicle. And then what these people continue to do to it. That, yeah, does it look like there's windows in there? Or am I delusional? Am I delusional about them windows being broken out? Am I delusional about that door not fucking shutting? By the way, that bush is over at the Tillamook Library, which is where most of these assaults took place. Why did most of these assaults take place there? Why did most of the damage to my vehicle take place there? Because all of the services that I was sent to for help wanted to tell me to go to the fucking library, which made me easy to target and consistently easy to target because there's a lot to go through and I only get 3 hours a day to do that. Turns into about an hour and a half after setting everything up in that room and then taking everything down at the end. Oh, there's my fist right next to the rock that was put through my back window. Here I'm sending her evidence that I can't even send a 24-minute video of a situation of abuse. And it's saying message too large to send. So I had to break it down into smaller ones. Here's one. Amanda, she's one of Chris Stafford's victims. I had to get a hold of her and let her know what was going on with Chris Stafford with the new phone because my old one was broken. And of course, I forwarded her, once I got the phone fixed, I forwarded her the message that she had sent me previously so that she had access to it as evidence that if anything happened to her, if Chris Stafford in specific did anything to her, that there was evidence that if somebody went through her phone, they'd be able to see this. They'd be able to look through her phone and find this. She had typed this to me. It says, "What the fuck? I never held a gun to his head. If I did, he wouldn't have been around to tell anyone about it. Promise. And I don't have chlamydia either. Never have. He is just mad because I turned him down and caught on to his stupid dirtbag game he plays. He did steal her gun and won't give it back. He stole all the bullets from my guns as well." Now, mind you, I also have a recording with her mom from yesterday. It might have been from, I think it was from yesterday, where her mother spoke to me about that gun again. She also spoke about another man that I tried to turn in, a man who was threatening to kill Amanda's mom. And I spoke to Amanda's mom today about it, about this man's plans to kill her, which I've let her know before that I tried to turn it into the jail. And if anything happens, that there is evidence that I tried to turn it in at the jail. And she told me they let this man out. This man who literally shot her and was having conversations with an imaginary her in the jail cell. And yes, I got a hold of Amanda to let her know about that. Now, Amanda also typed, let's see, he did steal her gun and won't give it back. He stole all the bullets from my gun as well and had a tracker thing installed in my phone. He doesn't have to have it installed. He might have had to install the app, but most phones have that on them already. You just have to activate it. I don't know how to activate it, but whatever. I know that it is not a figment of the imagination because it is modern technology, and because there was a woman in Virginia named Amber who was using the child features to stalk her boyfriend and find out wherever he went to sell his drugs. So, yeah, this isn't some paranoid delusion. It's a lot of parents have that on the phones that their kids are using. Anyway, it says, and had a tracker thing installed in my phone. He is scary and a loose cannon. Be careful. He talked about wanting to hurt you because all you do, let's see, because all you do is bitch and talk a bunch of crazy shit. And that the girl you talk about was trying to get away from you because you stalked her. She didn't need to get away from me. I drove 1,700 miles to get away from her and never went back. That's a no fucking brainer. When you literally drive 1,700 miles to go from Chesapeake, Virginia to Boulder, Colorado, or Chapel, Nebraska, because that ended up where I was having to go anyway. I went home to Boulder, Colorado and got abused in Boulder, Colorado. So I had to go to Chapel, Nebraska. At least in Chapel, Nebraska, I'm not being assaulted and threatened by Maddie Boa's meth customers. Anyway, so let's get back to reading this thing from Amanda. And I do know her last name now. It says, because all you do is bitch and talk a bunch of crazy shit, and that the girl you talk about was trying to get away from you because you stalked her. I didn't believe him, just so you know. I sensed your kindness. He told my kid's dad a bunch of lies and tried to break my boyfriend and I apart. Kept the key to my motel room so he could sneak in while I was dying sick and asleep to creep in on me, or to creep on me. He is scary as fuck, and any girl who he preys on needs to be careful. Thank you for reaching out to me, and I'll show you that one too. They do exist. Not figments of my imagination. I'm not pretending to read something. All right, so it says, he prays on, needs to be careful. Thank you for reaching out to me and letting me know. If you still hang in the parking lot there, I will stop in. I hope you are doing okay, and if there is anything I can do to help you, or if you need anything else, please let me know. Um, and then I sent her the message that said, I forwarded this from my other phone. I need to get a protection order against Chris. If she needs to take him to court, I forwarded her the evidence that she needs to prove that she's been trying to do this for a while. She had to flee. She had to flee Tillamook, Oregon, because nobody wanted to take the gun situation with Chris Stafford seriously. They let him threaten, harass, and intimidate a lot of us. Now, then there's Mike talking to me, and of course, he knows I record it, talking about the illegal guns that Moss and Bijan had. I tried speaking about that. I also, on my channel, you can hear him threatening me and then cocking his gun. I've had several people tell me it's just a BB gun. I've had several people tell me that it's a real gun. What do you think I'm going to fucking chance it or risk it? Now, I want to make sure that in all of this, here's the stuff from Marcia Estrada. You get to read it, and all of its fine details explains that I am not schizophrenic or delusional. Now, this is a message that when I was trying to get a protection order against Andrew Wolnez, his daughter Whitney sent this to me. He sent her this and then blocked her. So, yep, he wanted to make her feel bad for reaching out to me to try to put a stop to the abuse, to let me know about Andrew Wolnez's history. She told me to let him know if something happens, so I messaged her that he won't fucking stop. And Whitney messaged back to me, he will never stop. That's the bad thing about Andrew. Once he's locked in, it's hard for him to stop. He did this to my little brother and his mom. Now, this is one of the reasons that when I was being told that one of Andrew Wolnez's kids wanted to talk to me, and she was letting me know about this person here, her little brother and his mom, I guess that would make him a half brother, were trying to get a protection order because he did the same thing. So when I was told that one of Andrew Wolnez's kids was trying to get a hold of me, I didn't know how old they were. With Whitney, she was 20 at the time. With this other one, I don't have an age or a name for the person. I do know that what I was being told about Hunter Wolnez was not the case at that point in time. I was told later on that Hunter was the one who was organizing most of this. I was told that on the 3 separate occasions where I had that Toyota come up and threaten me, that Andrew Wolnez's son Hunter was in it all 3 times. I don't know the names of those people off the top of my head, but I do have recordings with those people. They also stated very clearly that they're at least 18 years of age. Now, this is what Whitney sent me. It says, maybe I'll read it off the screen there. He will never stop. That's the bad thing about Andrew. Once he's locked in, it's hard for him to stop. He did this to my little brother and his mom. His mom's also getting a restraining order against him, along with other of the moms, including mine. He called my mom after hearing about us talking and cursed her out. And I sent her a message saying 911 won't do anything. Now then we got to get to the instructions. See, everybody who wants to tell me they're going to help me and wants to know how they can help. The instructions that I'm giving them, yeah, they were given to me by the hospital here. This is just one of the many copies that I've been given. It lists the different types of abuse. When you go to a mandatory reporter, they'll pretend that these types of abuse aren't something they're supposed to do anything about. No, their own paperwork says that it's something they're supposed to do something about. They're outright lying to you. So here's the second page of that, of course. And that one also goes through the different lies. Yeah, give me a second. I'm going to pause the video. Hmm? I haven't. He was gonna come help me last night for 10 hours, or night before last for 10 hours, but he didn't show up. And then yesterday, I literally didn't see him at all. And I went in to see him this morning because he's got some of my papers, and he was still sleeping, so he must have had a rough night. Oh, here, let me move this stuff. You come on in. Um, like I said, I was making a recording. I'm getting ready to shut it down. Let's see, end stream. There we go. All right.